Hi, I'm Owen Canfield with the Oklahoman, joined today by Congressman Tom Cole from Moore. Tom, thank you for being here today.
Hey, Owen, thank you.
We're meeting on August 13th in the middle of your month-long sabbatical from D.C., the break. Tell us a little bit about what you've done in the last couple of weeks here in Oklahoma and what you're hearing maybe from your constituents.
Sure, quite a bit of traveling. I mean, it's a big, diverse district. For instance, yesterday I was in Pauls Valley, I was in Wynnewood, I was in Maysville, I was over in Lindsay, and those things usually involve, maybe a Chamber of Commerce coffee in the morning, a community leader lunch, visits to local businesses, and interviews by local media that have a lot of questions and concerns. And then we've done a teletown hall already where you reach out to thousands of constituents. We'll do another one this week, and then we've got 6 scheduled town halls physically at different locations around the district. So it's a lot of travel and a lot of listening and a lot of question answering. Probably the #1 issue on people's minds right now is the Iranian nuclear deal.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's registering with Oklahomans?
Absolutely is.
And what is your answer to them about that?
Well, first of all, they have a lot of questions. I would think it's fair to say they lean very much against. They're pretty suspicious of the Iranian regime, and frankly, they don't have a high degree of confidence in the president. It's not a surprise. This is not a state where he's politically run well. But they also, are very concerned about war in the Middle East. They don't want it, but they don't want us to be weak. So they'll ask specifics about the agreement, about the inspections, about the long-term consequences, and obviously they tend to want to know where you're at or where you're leaning. So we talk about that in general.
You said back in April when you came and visited us that you had your questions about that deal, and it wasn't quite ironed out then, and I'm sure nothing has changed.
Yeah, actually, the more I know about it, the less I like it, quite frankly. I think the Iranians appear to me to have out-negotiated us. I think we wanted the deal in retrospect probably more than they did, and that's a good environment to extract concessions, and they have. On the other end, look, I always say the president deserves a chance to make his case, so I've read the agreement, I've read the secret annexes, which to me were disturbing in some areas. I've listened to a lot of the experts, had a chance to be briefed along with many other members of Congress by Secretary Kerry and Secretary Moniz, our Secretary of Energy, and Secretary Luth, Secretary of Treasury, that have crafted this deal from our side. I'm going to actually meet with some folks at OU that are experts in these areas, and we've got, I think, a group of people that are supportive of the agreement that are coming in to see me, and obviously it'll be a topic in town hall. So we'll vote by about mid-September, and if I had to vote today, I would certainly vote no, but we're going to keep the door open and listen and see. But I think I think the agreement politically is unlikely to pass the Congress. The real question is whether or not the president can sustain a veto of congressional disapproval.
In talking to your town halls, is the presidential race on their radar screen?
Oh gosh, yeah, it really
hard
is.
For it not to be given the numbers and all that, and they had the first debate last week, which had tremendous ratings, which I think was really, of course, a testament to Donald Trump in his his place in the group, but also I think it also reflects just maybe the sense that folks want to see what's in this field on the GOP side.
I think they really do, and there's no question Trump is an asset in attracting attention, that's for sure. But I think it was going to be a pretty big audience anyway.
Right.
I mean, when Donald Trump says things like, well, you wouldn't be talking about illegal immigration if it wasn't for me. Really? We've been talking about that for a long time, and that was clearly going to be a major issue in the race. So I think the diversity of the field is something that it's a deep bench. I mean, there are a lot of talented people up there. Several, I think, who, with all due respect to Governor Romney, it's nothing negative on him, but I think could have beaten him in a Republican primary back in 2011 or 2012. That was a pretty weak field, aside from himself. This has got 7 or 8 governors, prominent senators, very successful people from the private sector, some unexpected emerging stars like a Carly Fiorina.
Right.
So I think this is a good thing. I would just tell people to take their time. Don't be in a hurry to make a decision. There's going to be lots of exposure for these people. We're going to see them perform in campaigns before they ever get to Oklahoma on a ballot. And I think there's clearly somebody in there that can win the presidency and serve with distinction. It's just not clear yet who they are.
We talked before we began taping about a lot that has gotten done in Congress this year. You know, you hear so much of the negative that sort of carries the day. Well, then nothing gets done, people can't get along. But you were talking about some of the things that have gotten done that are fairly significant.
It's actually very significant in Congress. The so-called doc fix, which fixed a Medicare, Medicaid problem, $200 billion item, long-term, helps us lower the deficit pretty dramatically in the Medicare and Medicaid fund. A human trafficking bill, a veteran suicide prevention bill. First time since 2006, Congress has all 12 appropriations bills through the Appropriations Committee in the House and in the Senate. First unitary balanced budget, or budget since 2009 between the House and Senate. First balanced one since 2001. Trade Promotion Authority, which the president's right now busy knocking the Republicans because they won't work with him on foreign policy. They just gave him an enormous foreign policy victory that his own party didn't trust him to have.
Right.
So, which, by the way, says a couple good things about the president. He broke with his party, but also about the Republicans who are willing to work with him, and guys like Paul Ryan, who was the point man, was his VP opponent, so if you'll put it that way, in 12. So lots of big things have gotten done. We'll probably get an education bill in September. I think we'll probably get a cybersecurity bill in September. We'll go into a large budget negotiation this year, obviously. So it's been both consequential and a surprisingly productive Congress, which isn't the popular image, but I think it takes time for the reality to catch up with the previous image. And there's no question, look, Harry Reid basically shut down the United States Senate for 4 years. It's interesting to me that our colleagues in the Senate voted more in the first 2 months, literally more votes cast in the United States Senate than in the previous 2 years.
Wow.
And so Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, Jim Inhofe, James Lankford, have opened the process up over there. And because they're producing legislation, guess what? We do a better job in the House because we know if we get something over there, it actually has a chance of becoming law.
Tom Cole, thank you so much for your time today, and continued best wishes. I guess you'll be on the ballot next year, right?
Well, make that decision in the spring of next year, but it's certainly not planning not to run at this point, but we always finalize that sometime in the spring.
Great to see you. Thank you again for coming by.
Thank you.